All right, welcome to Newcastle Muso Talk. I'm your host, Simon Threadgate. We're on to episode 2 now. If you missed our first episode with Troy Scarry, check it out. It is available online. If this is your first listen to the show, the idea essentially is that we're going to talk to people involved in the local music scene, people actively involved, people who have been involved in the past, and just get an understanding of their experiences playing music locally, nationally, internationally where applicable. Just pick their brains a little bit, I guess. Today's episode is with the mighty Steve Simmons, or Simmo as he's known to most. Simmo is a singer of Maitland band Mischling, who have been playing sporadically for the last 20 years or so in Newcastle, Maitland and surrounds. And he's also spent brief periods in Henry's Anger and Cryogenic, some of the bigger names of the early 2000s Australian heavy music. He's also had a long list of projects, including bands like Road Closed Hunted, Making Belief, Cigars for the Man, and he's got a current project called Whatever. He's made some great music, just a really intense front man, huge vocal power, and a hell of a character. A bit of a technical note for this episode that my gear shit itself towards the end of the chat, so lost forever is our conversation about conspiracy theories and LSD, but what we have left is a great yarn about his experiences, background, thoughts on the local scene, missing out on getting to travel to the States with Cryogenic after a car accident he was involved in. Lots of cool stories, lots of laughs. Check it out. We'll have some links to his music in the episode description as well, so you can have a listen to Simmo in action. Again, it's early days for our podcast, so if you do have any feedback on what we do, how we can do it better, suggestions for people we should interview, let us know. Check us out on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Newcastle Muso Talk. Let us know any feedback, anything that you've got to add to us. So pretty much without any further ado, here's our chat with Steve Simmo Simmons. Enjoy. Maitland origin? Is that your...
Yep.
Yeah, born and bred?
Born and bred in Maitland.
Yep. Spent a bit of time at Mackay for a while.
Yeah, 4 years from 2011 to 16, so 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you had a bit of time in
Canberra
as well?
Yeah, went down there in 2000.
Yep. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What was the sort of music that you were raised on by your parents? What was that musical background from home?
Yeah, well, that's pretty interesting. That goes right back to talking, say, things that I didn't know until later years.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the songs were, who the band was.
But you just knew that you'd heard that? And...
I knew I'd heard that, and I used to sit in my bedroom and listen to stuff that the old man was playing. He had one humdinger of a stereo.
Yeah.
So he'd play. I found one of the songs that he'd played, and I'd never realised till I was about 20 that it was Kashmir.
Yeah.
By
Zeppelin,
yeah. And that was, I'd sing along with that in my room. Just the... and try and sing along with that whole big note that he holds in the middle of that song, you know? Yeah, so
there's a bit of heavy music right from the start there?
He played, Sweet Child in Time was often on the...
Fuck yeah, what a song.
Oh, man. And Highway Star, so it was all of that old stuff. He was a drummer when he was young.
Yep.
So he was right into marching band style stuff or open-handed drumming, and so, the Cream and stuff like that. But never really got to hear a lot of him playing that stuff.
Yeah. But he had it.
He had it there.
And
it would take for him to not be there, I'd just put the record on and discover it,
Yeah, have a listen while he's not there without him. Yeah.
Totally, man. Totally.
With getting into heavy music there, what was sort of the catalyst for you with you getting into, away from everyone gets away from their old man's collection at some point? What was the sort of breaking point for you where you went off and said, this is...
I think I went through me AC/DC Angels era, and, it had been... I guess I had really grew up listening to things like Queen and stuff like that by myself, like Bowie and stuff like that, and was all of that sort of style.
Yep.
And so I was a massive Mercury fan.
Yeah.
But it was more, I think, really what rattled the cage was Teen Spirit. The first time I heard Teen Spirit, you know, the first time I ever heard it played on radio. And
Unlike
it went from
anything
there.
else sort of that you would have heard on radio up until that point, really.
Yeah. And that was, you know, everything else was, you know, Screaming Jets were on the verge of doing something really good.
Yep.
And living in England was the first time I'd really got to experience double kicks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, when...
all those pieces fall together. And
and, you know, I hadn't discovered that American scene, really.
Yep.
But as soon as I hit Nirvana, then it went Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah.
And, you know, then it all started to come out.
Branch off from there.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah, cool. What's a short list of some of your bands that you've been in? What's some names of bands that you've been in over the years that people may know you from or may not even?
I think...
obviously, I think most people who probably would recognise your name would know Mischling as their first port of call for you.
Mischling was the one that really I focused on and tried to make something happen with.
Yep. That was a conscious effort with Mischling. I guess at the start that was sort of like, we're going to fucking go hard as we can at this.
Totally. And
you would have been like 13, 14 at the start of that? Or
no. When Mischling hit, I guess I was about 20.
Yep.
Going on 21.
Yeah.
I'd been playing in the pub scene for a little bit, and I'd played with Tragic Sanity, which had Chad.
Yeah.
You know, Chad McCamley and a few of the other guys that haven't really pursued their musical dreams, I guess. But, well, Shawnee Mitchell, I've got to mention him. He's who I'm playing with now.
Yeah.
But
he did the riff for Corrupt, yeah?
Yeah. Sure did.
Yep.
Yeah, he did. And Fear of the Unknown.
Yeah.
He was the guy behind the heavy side of Fear of the Unknown. But I went through, basically there was a band called Disowned, and I picked up with those guys, and they had Chad Rogers, who went to play with Pivot and Shank D and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, he was the first experience I found that we were on a common feeling of this grunge scene that was happening at the time, and so it was a lot of I was really happy with what he was doing riff wise and songwriting wise, and he was close friends with Daniel Johns, and I think that was an interesting aspect as well, because when I'd played in Tragic Sanity, we'd played against the Innocent Criminals in a band competition.
Yeah.
Got beaten by 4 points.
Yep.
Still remember them driving off, and Chad and I standing there looking at each other, and Chad says to me, "They're going somewhere." You know, 14 playing the Royal Oak at Cessnock.
Yeah.
You know?
He spotted it.
Yeah. I think
they had it. Did you see it?
Did I ever? I seen him play Stairway to Heaven and do the solo of his teeth that night at 14. You know, so they were going somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, so
them as a unit, or was it more Daniel Johns?
No, they were on their way. They were well oiled then. You know. Bandana wearing and Chris and stuff like that, but yeah, they were young, but they were really good. You know, I think Tragic Sanity was more of an exposure to the pub scene, more that we played a lot of covers, but we had a few good originals, but they were more rock based. You know, that pre that grunge scene really.
not hair metal rock or anything like that, but
No.
more that 70s, still that sort of 70s vibe.
There was no glitz or glam about it. Definitely, there was more. It was more that pub rock scene.
Yeah.
It was more a pub feel.
Yeah.
Definitely, we were rockers.
building on that Akadaka and Angels.
Yeah,
sort of
definitely,
influence.
and they were staples in our set. You know, a lot of AC/DC and Angels songs in them days.
Yeah.
So I went through from Tragic Sanity and joined Disowned, much to a lot of people's dismay at the time because they were wondering where I was going with it. But I really liked Disowned, and they're still they were a bunch of really great guys.
Yep.
So still hold a lot of respect for them fellas. But yeah, and that was pre-Mischling.
Yep.
And I just felt with Disowned that really at the latter stages of Disowned is when I discovered Pantera.
Yeah.
You know,
Started getting into that
and
heavier end of things.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'd been into Metallica. I'd seen that, you know, Master of Puppets album and everything. You couldn't go wrong there.
Yeah.
But I'd been through that era, but hadn't really discovered Slayer or anything at that point.
Mm.
But really, I did like the Master of Puppets stuff and Injustice for All, you know. Didn't really go Ride the Lightning is as far as I went back.
Yeah.
I didn't go Kill 'Em All or anything at that in them days. I didn't really like it. I didn't think it was any good. But, you know, sort of went from...
And Justice is pretty much my interest with Metallica.
Man, Justice was one killer of an album,
Yeah.
you know. But I think so I think with Disowned, and I remember saying it to Dodge at the time that, you know, I'm feeling like I need to go heavier.
Yep.
And he understood that. Didn't really, couldn't see my side, but he understood where I wanted to go. So I think that's where I wanted to take Mischling. And I'd seen a couple of the boys out of Mischling play in a school band.
Yeah.
And they did a thing at Rutherford High School. And it was after that night that I was like, hey, man, that drummer can play.
Yeah.
And they did the old Screaming Jets better, you
Yeah.
know. So, and just the whole double kick scene at the end, you know, and Doc nailed that. And I was like, man, this guy's in high school and he's killing this. Yeah, and so anyway, I guess one day I turned up, I'd seen Doc play there, and then I'd seen him play in a band that absolutely blew me away one night. And they played the Queen's Arms. And anyway, well, I'll take a step back. The Queen's Arms had never used to do anything. And if it wasn't for Chad and myself going down there, you know, Chad had now formed Swallow Tongue, and I was in Disowned, and we were looking for gigs. And we went to the Queen's Arms, and Ken and Jan, as lovely as they were quite prepared to put on these young idiots and just give them a go.
Yep.
And it turned into a whole scene, and I'm so stoked that we were right at the cusp of
making that happen.
That scene happening, because Maitland had nothing.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds awful to say, but it was true. We had nowhere that would play original bands.
Yeah.
It was the Clubhouse or Shakers.
Yeah.
You know, and if you weren't playing covers, you weren't going to play the Clubhouse or Shakers. Yeah. So we'd get our, you know, carton for the night.
Shakers. I remember going as a kid to Shakers, and they had the video jukebox there. You'd have the dinner with the parents before they cleared everyone out there.
Oh, yeah.
Nightclub it up. So I never experienced it as a nightclub. It was always a restaurant for me.
Shakers the restaurant wasn't much better than Shakers the club, I tell you. You know, but
it seemed very rough from memory. It was like I can't see this being a great venue after hours.
Oh it was one of those spots that, you know, if you didn't smoke, you certainly took in your fair share back in them days. You know, it's a lot of covers bands back in that scene. Yeah. But you know, so it was one thing that I think was a really good thing was that the Queen's Arms did that, because it opened up another avenue and an outlet for people to go to. You know, it's so
it's the Queen's Arms Hotel at Maitland for anyone who's not familiar with it. The pub up there. I tried to get some stuff going there a couple of years ago, and whoever's there now is just like, nah, not interested in doing it now.
And, you know, the room's changed to what it used to be. Like, it used to be carpeted walls, carpeted floor ceiling. It was the deadest room, but that was what made it brilliant. It just was not resonant. Mirror wall on the back of you. You know, it was just incredible. So, you know, so we moved from being, I guess, with Disown to Chad and I standing at the Queen's Arms one night with Mick Rudder, actually, who used to play in a local band in Maitland back in the day. Struggling to think of their name right now, but they were a damn good band too. And we were amazed by this drummer. He had a broken arm. And he was playing double kickers with one foot pedal. And playing
doing the
hats
whole
and snare with one arm. And that was Doc. And
Jared Doc Payne, for anyone who's not familiar with Doco, he's a
Doco.
living legend. He was the first drummer I ever played with at high school at Rutherford. He was up helping someone with a HSC, and I came in and just started playing the Rockin' in the Free World riff by Neil Young, and he just slammed in with it.
Now, you know, you could not meet a nicer fella, really. So I remember the day after, I must have been talking to him that night, because I found out his address. And I went around, can of Coke, bag of weed. And
sorted.
And just hit him up if he'd be interested in playing in a band, and he was keen. So that's where it all started. And, you know, I think of our first cover song, you know, we lined up a few cover songs, and the first cover song we got to line up was War Pigs, and I thought, this can't be any better.
You
know, so,
you hit the golden wicket.
So going from playing, you know, Angels to now I'm going to Sabbath. You know,
Step in the right direction.
Oh, yeah. So, it's great. It was great.
When did you sort of first realise, growing up as a youngster, when did you realise you could hold a tune, that there was something there for you to do vocally?
I think I always knew I loved to sing. And my nan had been a singer. My mum was a closet singer. And I'd purposely sit in my bedroom for longer than I needed to of a morning, because my mum would be singing in the kitchen.
You could sit up and hear it.
And I could hear what she was singing. She could whistle like a mother too. You know, so she was an incredible singer. And as soon as you'd walk out of that bedroom, it'd all stop. So
didn't want to, and no one could watch you do it.
I'd be sitting in the bedroom waiting for her, and you know, I'd played in school choirs, and I think it was in third class that I guess I really knew I could hit a note, because they had an audition for the choir, and our teacher at the time was the chick running the choir, you know, and she got everyone lined up and walked up to the piano, and there's so many play one, you know, and I remember she hit the key, she went ding, and I went this, and she went, you're in.
Straight away.
So you know, and I ended up being the stand by the piano, the main singer dude, you know, and it was like a bit embarrassing and not something that was cool at the time, you know. I was the nerdy singer dude that the freckles that no chick liked. And
do you still get a bit of a taste of that frontman power there, like being that focal point with your voice and nothing else, really?
I think it's more the fact that I still know the chicks don't like me. It's you know, so now I yell at them.
Give them a reason not to. Who were your first sort of big voices that you fell in with in terms of influences for power and also for colour of voice? Like, where did you sort of draw your influence from?
Wow.
Or was it just your own, you know, I'm sure no one just comes along.
No, look, I think it would have to be, you know, it had to be Freddie Mercury,
Yep.
and then it had to be Robert Plant, and Ian Gillan. They were the three that I found very just incredible at what they did, and and would make me sit and try to figure out what they were doing. And so I spent a lot of time. Well, when I was young, I spent a lot of time by myself with my push bike and would sing to myself, So, I was the loner, I guess. I lived miles from all my schoolmates and, was stuck under that long bridge at Maitland, just riding BMXs and singing to myself. So, I was that dude there and going, he's a bit dippy, but,
He's going to be a muso for sure.
Yeah, he's one of them guys,
Were your parents cool with you doing music? Was that as you started getting into it, they were always supportive of you?
Totally supportive. I think it, I'd like to say I think Mum was proud. I think Dad was, it's just Stephen. Like that. Mum was. She could see I could hold a note, and I think that. It's one of those things that you wanted your parents to be proud of you. And so always strive that little bit harder.
It's weird too, I guess, when you're younger, because you sort of don't want your parents to be into the things you're into, but you still want them to appreciate that you can do what you're doing.
Be able to
really
relate to what you're doing. Totally. Especially I wish to one day play child in time, and just give the old man a listen, I think he'd be stoked.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that too, man.
I hear that, Doco. We've got to do that one now, mate.
That's right. Any musical family members or anything like that? Or, do you have... I always notice with my brother's wife's family, they sing to each other. There's a lot of singing around the house, and we sort of never had that when I was growing up. If someone would sing, fucking, what are you trying to get attention? You show pony, that sort of thing. Was there a musical element to the family? As you say, your mum sort of wasn't keen to.
Well, she was. My mum was just an introvert.
Yeah,
but she was brilliant. But her side of the family was just incredible. Her mum and her aunties were just. They were something else. There was 7 sisters, and 2 or 3 of those were very capable opera singers. Like my nan had been asked to join the Sydney Junior Opera and choir as a 10-year-old.
Yeah,
but they lived in Denman, and their parents couldn't afford the drive.
Yeah.
So she unluckily wasn't able to pursue that dream there. But it's funny because if it wasn't for singing, I wouldn't be here because there's in the Second World War, everyone joined the army.
Yep.
And in Denman, they had an army base, and my nan used to be a cook in the army.
Yep.
And she'd be in the kitchen singing. And anyway, my pop started hearing this lady singing.
Yeah, nice.
And he stood outside the window and would listen to her sing.
Yeah.
Until one day she looked out the window and seen him standing there. And that's how they met.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, so I guess if it wasn't for singing,
that's it,
where would I be?
Origin of life for you.
Yeah, that's right.
What else do you do other than singing? I know you play uke. I've seen you play peppercorns and beer bottles for percussion. And
well, I'll grab anything that makes a noise and try and tune it up.
Get it in there.
So I like to try and play guitar. I'm not a guitarist asshole.
Yeah.
But
do you write songs on guitar? Is that
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'll present an idea, and usually someone will scrap that and write a better idea.
Yeah.
And they'll go, yeah, that's better. We'll do that. So,
but you'll have a framework in your head of what you know what chords you're sort of working around with. Ideas.
Yeah. Well, at least it helps me pitch. You know, so I can run through, sit and run through scales and do stuff like that and sing along to it and tune my voice up. And yeah, so yeah,
Cool.
that's about the only
That's
goodness that comes out of my guitar playing.
what's your current project list looking like? What are your currently active bands that you're currently in?
Right now, I'm doing some heavy stuff, some real heavy stuff with Whatever, and that's got Shawnee Mitchell and Ryan
That's the
Hornby.
band name, Whatever.
Whatever's
Yep.
the band name.
Yep.
Yep. And basically, it's got elements of thrash, death metal.
Yep.
And it's look, it's the new excitement for me right now. And I've been working with Ryan for a lot of years, and ever since Cigars for the Man, you know, which was around 2008, 2009, we were playing live, but I've found just a common vibe where we seem to know each other. We feel good what we play. We can push each other without being condescending or it coming across the wrong way, and we always get the best out of each other. So I've pursued this thing with Ryan. We did have a really good drummer in Reese Fairbairn, but who I played with in Picnic at Hanging Rock, which was a project after Cigars for the Man. But Reese at the moment is very busy in the fact that he's a guitar player now, as well as one damn shit hot drummer. Yeah. But he's pursuing his thing in another Newcastle band at the moment, so he's too busy to really be playing the drums for us. You know, either that or we just suck and he doesn't like us anymore. That might be the truth. He never said it that way, but I could see it in his eyes.
Do.
You know, I could see it.
That's your main project at the moment that you got rolling?
That's the main one. I'm doing the ukulele thing where I've been writing a concept album, basically. It's a sad thing to say, conspiracy theory based thing, but I guess it is. It's about opening your eyes, about seeing what's real and stop being a sheep of society, of the mainstream media. It makes me fucking mad. So that's what it's about, and basically it's about a concept album that's going to involve songs and poetry. So it's on its way. But it's not my main focus.
Sort of, you haven't set a date to say I want it out by this time. It'll take its natural time.
I think I need to start doing that because I've had so many things in the past where I've had a passion and then it just peters out and the flame dies. But I think this one I need to sit down and go, no, I've got to see this through. So I'd like to say, I'd like to set a date. I'm scared to set a date. I'd like to say, you know what? By Friday the 13th, 2019, you know, it's going to happen. So anyway,
fingers crossed.
That's what we're pursuing, you know. It's get
and that's
something.
Just you. That's a solo project that you're doing.
That's right. It's it's
just
me.
uke, or you getting some drum patterns down?
Not at all. No, it's just very airy. It's just going to be uke and maybe just it's more just effects and stuff on the uke and just going that way about it, you know, rather than trying to find beats and stuff and find people to play it and that side of things. It's just be going, nah, I'm doing this. I'll get this down. I can do it myself, and I will do it. You know. So,
nice. With you've been obviously doing bands for so long. Is there a part of you that still thinks that you could do music as a full-time thing, or you've given up on that essentially as being a full-time professional musician, and it's you just do what you can? What's that? What does that look like as a goal for you in terms of being a musician?
I don't think that I'll ever be blessed enough to go, you know what, I can make this a career based on this is going to cover the bills. But what I want to do now, I guess, is make an album in the genres that I like playing and really turn some heads and make some people go, hey, shit, these old guys can do something good, you know?
Yeah. So there's still a value in that, just that local recognition, obviously.
It's not that it's the reason I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But it's certainly nice it's nice to have your mates and your peers enjoy something you do.
Yeah.
It's just been a bit unlucky, I guess, in the last few years that things haven't turned into fruition where I've been able to play the live shows, because I think with myself, I project better in live performance than I do on an album, and I'm trying to work that out now and get that balance right.
I'd agree with that. I think you are in your specific element on stage, just letting go with that sort of stuff.
It's certainly somewhere I like to let go and let myself be myself. You know.
We'll have a look at some of your, I guess, as I said before, sort of, I guess most people's interest who do know you would be through Mischling. You've sort of given us an idea of how they got together. Tell the name Mischling is, I know it, but give us a background for what Mischling is.
Well, when Smithy actually turned up with the title Mischling, we were in rehearsals and working out a band name, and at the time we were rehearsing at the Music Factory in Newcastle back in the day, and he came in with a whole heap of different names, and the Oracle of Aal was one of them I've never forgotten, but Mischling Third Degree came out, and I thought, what the hell is that? What's Mischling Third Degree? And then he explained it to me, and I thought, well, this suits us down to a T, because this was back in the day when people were, and we were trying to do the same, people were forming music that had different styles, and these styles were melding together, but basically out of pieces that shouldn't have fitted together. And the whole theme of Mischling was not that, hey, we're some German Nazi that raped some Jewish lady. You know, it's like, no, and the kid that was born was the
because
Mischling.
that's the definition of Mischling. It's
as awful as that sounds, that's exactly what it was. And you know, it's we'll never play a gig in Austria, put it that way. But
was there concern with coming up with a name like that? That you sort of put some people, I guess, on a certain back foot?
Only after the fact. Only after the fact, when I had my grandmother in tears about it. That was a real eye opener. But I think at the time, I was more about, look, we're putting two things together that shouldn't be together. We're putting this style of music with that style of music, and the combination of these styles of music is what Mischling is. And that's what we fed on, you know. And we wore some heavy crowds because of that title. You know. So.
I remember you saying the MXPX guys didn't take kindly to you.
Dog bite. I never got off the stage. They never got off the stage, and they wanted to fight me. Yeah. I don't know if it was more the fact that we were called Mischling, or the fact that I wore a monk's outfit with a cross on at the time, and it was. I think it was a combination of everything.
The Christian boys of MXPX.
Yeah, I tell you what, that you know. They can't fight. They're not from Maitland, you know. So they had the work cut out for them. Yeah, right. Ad lib Stephen can't fight.
And the idea, pretty much, as you say, from the start, was to go flat knackers as hard as you could at Mischling being a band.
I was back in the day. I guess I've learned a lot because of this thought as well, is that you push as a band to get somewhere.
Yep.
And I think that to all the young kids, I'd like to say now, don't focus so much on pushing for the band to get somewhere, but push the band to make some shit hot music.
Yeah.
Music that you're proud of. Make them songs what you want them to be.
Yeah.
And the management, everything else will fall into place. You'll get the gigs. You'll get the supports.
Yeah.
You'll be that band you want to be if you do that.
Do you think there's too many bands who put that cart before the horse? But like, well, we want to be rich, and they don't focus on, well, these are actual kick-ass songs that we have crafted and love and can stand 100% behind.
I totally believe that, and I totally also believe that a bad management or a bad producer, if you're doing an album, can ruin that for you as well. I think you need to be true in what you believe you are with your band. Know your limits. Find your limits to know your limits.
Yeah. You got to
push your limits.
Work out to them.
Work out what they are. Work out what you like doing, what you're good at. Even if you're not good at it, but you like doing it, keep doing it, because eventually you'll be good at what you do. And that's so important. I think, to find the sound you want as a band, to find where everybody sits in the pocket. It all takes time, and with that comes rehearsal. Like you can't just sit, write ideas, do one rehearsal, and then do an awesome show. You're a damn very lucky band if you do.
If you get that.
If you do. And, look, I think it is, my belief is, as much as the album is paramount for what you want. If you want to have a memory of something, that album should be that memory. But if you want to enjoy what you do the gigs, know the sound you got, and know how to pull that sound. Get the people on side. Get the sound man. Because the wrong sound man, just, you'll never sound good. You'll always walk off stage disappointed. You need to be able to do a show and be that stoked at the end of that show that nothing else matters.
That's all you can think about.
That's right. You can't wait for that next show after that,
You guys had management with Mischling? Was that something you guys engaged? Or?
We did. We had a few different managers over the time.
Was that a conscious effort from the start to have management, or that sort of picked up speed as you moved along as a band?
I started as the manager, I guess.
There's usually someone internal will take that role on
for
a while.
I was pushing us to get gigs and trying to get... I think we were trying at the time. There was a lot going on in Sydney back in the day, and we were, as much as we love playing the Queen's Arms and Newcastle, we were trying to push for that Sydney spot, and then get that dream of a big support on a big stage, and you get to do that, and you realise that, oh shit, that band just blew us apart. That we thought we sounded unreal, and then this other band come out and they just
actual professional.
And they were professional and they had it all together. And there's a lot of steps I think that a lot of people miss out on. I do recommend that somebody finds not just a manager, but a mentor, someone who understands what they want to do and helps them get what they want to do, not shapes them to do something that they can make money or be marketable.
So you find value in obviously having someone on your team with that same vision who's primarily not invested in being the guitarist in the band. This is their role in. They're essentially a band member, Like
well, totally. I think these days it's almost like with Ryan and myself and Shawnee Mitchell, like we sit, we don't really have to explain too much. We just know what feels good, and we know if it doesn't feel good, that we don't really need someone else to bring it up. We just know that we need to do something else there, but we don't force it anymore. Like I think I used to have trouble where I needed an answer there and then, and instead of just going, right, just pull that song up for now. We'll come back to that, revisit it. I was like, no, I need an answer.
I need it now,
this song's got to be done. You know, it needs to be finished. But I think the best songs are ones that just happen naturally. And, you know, I find when I write songs that lyrically, I'll write in a 5-minute period. There goes the whole song. But as soon as that lyric clicks and something happens, and I go, I need to shut the world off for a minute because I've got to pull over here, and you know, and I might be in a traffic jam. Sorry, here goes the hazards. I've got to write this, you know, and that's how I write, rather than little bit by little bit. But I think that's, you know, everyone has their own way, and I think it comes back to knowing your own way, you know, and again, believing in yourself, not being too judgmental of yourself, and not being swayed by criticism. Because who are these critics anyway? Who are the critics? Like be yourself. And at least the critics can say at the end of the day, you're yourself. You know, they mightn't like what you do, but you're yourself. And that's so much more important to me now.
With Mischling, again, from Maitland, gigged mostly. Do you feel a tie to the Newcastle scene from there, or the Maitland scene? Where was Mischling most active?
Oh, look, I'd have to say Mischling was a Maitland band. In Newcastle we had a lot of people jumping on the boat with us, and certainly would turn up to gigs back in the old SJ's days, or, you know, Hunter on Hunter and stuff like that. You know, those great old venues.
R.I.P. the Hunter on Hunter.
Oh,
what a cracker of a venue.
What a
shithole, but what a...
The only spot I ever played with no PA and an exit light as our lighting, you know.
The old telephone booth on the stage there.
Oh, you couldn't beat that joint. You couldn't beat it.
I remember seeing Devolved come through, I think it was, and they took one look at the stage and like, we're not even fucking setting up. You know,
they wouldn't have fitted there, would they? You know, get John the drummer out. And I
think Uncle John could fit his kid on the
that's it.
The stage they had there.
Oh, yeah. There's some great memories of the Hunter on Hunter. The only gig you had to pay $50 to go and play.
How difficult was it for you to get gigs back then? Was it you just approached venues, or you had management looking after that stuff for you, or was it a bit of a combination?
We sold our soul to play gigs pretty much. You never, it always costs you money, and it nearly always will cost you money to play a local original gig, unless someone like the Jays that's mainstream now will pick you up and give you a hand. You can appeal to the right. I think you need to go searching and really learn who's out there, who's the management of that pub or that, who's wherever booking these gigs, and chase them and be relentless, be in their ear, and but at the same time, you've got one chance, and if you haven't got the package, don't ruin that chance till you have. You don't go and approach them with one song that's on a disc that's not finished yet, and ask for a gig. You won't get it. Music is a business, unfortunately.
Do you think Mischling would have done better now than you did back in the day, or?
exponentially.
Yep.
I think we're a much better band now. I think a lot of our passion to do the hard yards is not where it used to be.
Yep.
We're a lot fitter mentally.
Yep.
But now we're a lot more comfortable, I guess, in the fact that if we had to do something, we've got something we can offer, and we'll make the show. And based on that, look, you know, we can be pretty convincing now, where I was like almost having to pull the wool over people's eyes back in the day to go, come on, give us a go, come on, you know, we can do this and trust us.
Yeah, yeah. I think the EP came out around 99, 2000, was it, around there?
Yeah, I think it was 98, 99.
And you would have been picked up pretty quickly after that for Henry Zanger, is that right? How that situation
Yeah, well, look, you got to be brutally honest. What was happening with Mischling is we're on a downward spiral.
Yep.
And the reason
just
we're on
personally, or
well, we'll have management issues with a certain member of management at the time, and not that it was his fault. It was just that I guess he was steering us in a direction, and that wasn't really his role.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't feel it was his role. I guess the boys were not really observing that fact, and they were just keen to roll with it.
Yeah.
But you know, he brought that downside. I felt, and we nearly had a punch up, and it got to the point where, you know, I went home that gutted after that, just thinking, what's happening to this band?
Yeah.
This guy's ruining us.
Yep.
You know, and anyway, things led from there, and it was quite funny because Henry Zanger had been in a studio down in down in Sydney at the time, and they had just recorded their personality test album.
Yep.
And we go in there to record a song, and their posters were all over the shop.
Yep.
And this guy's telling us about how awesome this band is, and all of a sudden I'm getting asked to audition for this band, and then it's like, hey, that's these guys. I remember seeing them, you know, and then heard what they were doing. I was like, hey, this is pretty damn good. This guy can sing, you know, and that was one of the most intimidating things I've ever had to do, was go and fill in for Jamie out of Henry Zanger.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like he was one damn hell of a singer, you know, and still to this day blows me away when I hear that album.
Yeah.
You know.
And they obviously did well they were a known national band at that time, really, in that heavy alternative sort of sound.
Yeah, totally. And they'd had a couple of albums out at that point, and you know, world-class musicians too. Yeah. You know, like Matt and Paddy Coffey, like, you know, Rod Yates.
Yeah,
they were tight. They were, you know.
You never got to record with Henry Zanger for anything released, did you?
Nothing got released, and you know, I'm probably glad about that.
Yep.
Due to the fact that there was a part of my own self that didn't feel comfortable there, and I
did you feel like a fill-in sort of thing? Is that how you felt, or was it?
I felt certainly that way in the early gigs.
Yep.
But it was more, I think, that I felt I didn't know where to take the songs.
Yeah.
I felt like taking them into a heavier genre, and yet I felt that the label wouldn't be happy, or I always felt this need to hold back with that band, you know.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Sort of a lack of ownership.
I think so.
For the music.
I think so. I felt that they wrote the songs and I wrote the lyrics, and we worked out how I was going to sing it, not me, you know. And so I think that was it was a great experience, but great experience. And you know, to this day, I'd never trade playing
that time,
Metal for the Brains and Big Day Outs and stuff like that for anything, you know. Supporting things like Skin Lab and, you know, they're great.
How long did that period last with Henry Zanger? That was for a couple of years, was it?
No, it was.
It seemed short from my memory.
It was very short. It was very short. Unfortunately, it was. She was all over by. Probably this. I think it was Christmas 2000.
Yeah.
So I joined them in late '99.
Yep.
And by Christmas 2000,
you relocated ACT and everything.
Oh yeah. Went down there, and unfortunately, the drummer had, you know, just had a infatuation with someone that he shouldn't have been infatuated with, and you know, things led to basically the band losing management and stuff because of that, and the band I remember all in one afternoon. It went label, ring.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, email. You're not going to. We're sorry. We don't think this band is viable anymore. To management, sorry, this band is not going to be on our management anymore. And then drummer, sorry, I'm not playing in the band anymore. Yeah. And it's like, this is all in one afternoon. It's just like, what the hell has happened here? You know? And it was just very sad. Sad for me because we'd worked so hard. Like the partner and I had at the time and myself had relocated our whole life, and I'd put everything into it. Yeah. You know, to try and do my part of the bargain and do this thing and make it work. You know, and we had US tours ready. We had everything going ready. You know, and it's and then you move to Cryogenic, and that happens again.
I was going to say, what I mean? Did you stay in ACT for a while and try and make the best of it, or did you cut and pull
I pretty much pulled stumps up within the month.
Yep.
Was back in Maitland.
Back home.
And because we were out on a property out like we were east of Canberra, so we were living out at place called Jerrabagullah, which was about 20k out of a place called Braidwood. Yep. So we were in between Bateman's Bay and Canberra. Was where I was living on this 100-acre property, you know, and it was a beautiful property, but so isolated. You know, and
just you and your partner at the time.
Yeah, and
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so it was unfair for her to keep her suffering while I went to work in Canberra every day, and she'd be stuck at this house by herself with this, you know, TV that, you know, we were picking up snow. That's all you had. Two channels, and it was you had to blur your eyes to watch TV. You know, it was So
you packed in a job at Maitland to go to Canberra and had to do the same again.
Yeah,
pack it all
come back to Maitland. Yeah, and so came back to Maitland and jumped back in with the boys from Mischling, and by that time they'd been working with Tony Rees.
This is the Making Belief period.
Yeah, so this is where the Making Belief started happening, and it was originally called Pacifist.
Yeah.
Thanks, Corby, for that one.
Pacifist.
Pacifist,
like
and ended up becoming Making Belief. I think Tony and I came up with that name. It's not the best of names. I don't know how we came across that one. But anyway, so we rolled with that. And that was some damn good music too. But
that was good music, man. I personally have great memories of getting demos off you guys. And I think you did 2 shows at the Cambo.
Yeah, we did one at the Cambo, I believe. And I've got a feeling that might be it.
Yeah.
Actually.
It was very brief.
Yeah, it was. I knew we did our ass, actually, financially, and that was a real disappointment. You know, one of those shows at the Cambo where you're paying I got Adrian Gregoria from down at Sydney to come and be our sound man.
Yeah.
So he was $300 for the night, So all of this stuff added up. We paid these support acts and got about 10 people in the door. But it absolutely flogged down rain. You knew on the day this isn't going to be good. This is, damn.
The whole day ahead of you just brooding and
waiting
for it to...
Yeah. For a long time there, it seemed that every time I did a gig, it would pour rain.
Yeah.
Or I'd get the flu the day before.
Yeah. So what brought the Making Belief to an end? Was that cryo opportunity come along, or?
I think, as much as I thought maybe cryo, well, to be honest with you, cryo happened before Making Belief did.
Yep.
But what had happened was, so I jammed with them fellas, and then I got picked up by cryo.
Yep.
Then I went to cryo.
Yeah.
Then I came back, and then we jammed again, and then for Making Belief, But I think it was more the fact that Doco wasn't comfortable in the band, and he left, and
because essentially Mischling with Tony Rees, the lineup.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and and it was a damn good band. But to be honest with you, there was still, I think there was still things I did wrong. And whether that, and well, I'll say whether that, I know that was a part of why Doc left.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because he wasn't being treated right, and we were trying to push let's be this big band again, and it's another one of those learning lessons.
Yeah.
You just don't push for things. Let the band be the band.
Let it
breathe, let
yeah.
people do what they do. Don't try to tell people what to do.
Yeah. So cryo, did you get referred there from someone you knew through your Henry Zanger contacts, or how did you come to their attention?
They had seen me play with Henry's a few times, and I'd played with them, big day out. Remember they played after us, and talked to Steve Esser, and got to be pretty good mates with those guys, and they were great, We used to play with Alchemist a lot, and they were playing with Alchemist a lot, and so it was one of these things that I got to, they were the Bogans of Sydney, and and Henry's were the classy men of Canberra, but so I guess I felt a little bit, Westy. They were Westy, and we got along really well. And anyway, I got a phone call one day when I was living at Maitland, and it was Jenk from Cryo, and he asked me to come down and have an audition, telling me what had sort of happened with Sloan, their old singer. And at first I was very reluctant, because I just felt like the scene had chewed me up and spat me out, But he was able to convince me, look, it'll be different.
Yeah.
Just give it a go. Don't feel scarred, as he said at the time. And I went down and gave it a go, and got a migraine on the first song. I loved it, So
you were sold.
Yeah. I don't think any of us will ever forget that first audition. So.
You didn't get nothing released with Cryo.
Nothing released. We did a demo, and the demo was a was a lot of fun. And it was pretty good. But it was a different style of music to what Cryo had been doing, and that wasn't my fault. And I think a lot of people felt that when I joined that band, I changed who they were. They had already changed who they were. I just jumped into the new car, so to speak. They got out of the Commodore and into a Lamborghini. And so a lot of the death metal roots that were there in their earlier days had disappeared, and they were finding this, I guess, new metal scene that was hitting big at the time. And So I jumped in and gave that a go because I could actually sing the parts, not just have to belt them out. And I'm not saying Sloan couldn't, but I'm sure Sloan
totally
wouldn't
different
have. Yeah, you know,
style.
like they had demos with Sloan, and they ended up being some of the songs that I redid because Sloan did them perfect. So I just did them like Sloan did them, you know, and they were a lot of fun. It was, I guess, it was the whole issue with Cryo was that they already had a scene, and I didn't want them to change. But they were over doing what they were doing, and they had every right to do what they wanted to do. So they did what they did, and we changed.
So my memory might be incorrect on this, but the Faithful Night, then you had your return local show played at the Cambo.
Yes.
I was there. I remember,
Yeah.
again, as you say, it seemed to be a good camaraderie with you in the band. Everything fit. The show was killer.
Yep. It was a great night. It was a great night.
You drove home after the gig and
not that particular
not
night.
That night.
No, that was it was
very
about
close to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about a week later.
Yep.
Yeah, about a week later. We were in Sydney, and we were having our leaving show.
Yep. Stitched up to go to the States.
Yeah.
Feel things out there, or did you have there was definite things?
Oh no, we had everything sorted. Yeah, we had the gigs already. We'd had our management go overseas. He was now working for Atlantic, and he was like the A&R guy for Atlantic. So, you know, we had the people in the know were right where we needed them.
Well in the door.
Oh yeah, and and there was gigs ready to go. And first stop was Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
So that's where we were heading, and all these gigs like Viper Room and stuff like that, and so we had our little see you later party down in Sydney, and all the reps and everything came along and wished us well. And anyway, I got away from that a bit too late.
Yep.
And I had to. I'd had a couple of beers, so I had to wait for that.
Wait for it to get out of the system
and settle down a bit, and drove home a bit late and fell asleep.
Yeah.
Rolled my car just north of Morisset.
Yeah.
And broke a few ribs and totaled my car and totaled myself, and it was at that point you're going to be 3 months before you can breathe properly again. You know, so I pretty much. Yeah, we went into crisis mode and decided that they had to go because they had
every opportunity there.
Well, and not just that, like Hanno had sold his house to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you had people with massive commitments and they had to go.
Yeah.
And so they did and auditioned a whole heap of singers until they found one that actually went out from Australia to go out and meet them. And, unfortunately, he ruined it for them. So, so the poor fellas, like, it didn't go well for them over there at all. They got to play some great gigs and hang with some cool people, you know, but, at the end of it, it sort of fizzled out for them.
Yeah. So it was about 3 months recovery time for you after that, before you could, as you say, even really do anything?
Yeah, I was, at least 3 months.
Living up home at Maitland, or you?
I was living back at Maitland.
Maitland and Sydney
I was living at. I was just travelling to Sydney for rehearsal at the time, and still living in Maitland, and it's one thing that people that have had a broken rib will know. You break a few, and it lets you know you can't cough, you can't breathe, you can't do anything, and you can't lean over, you can't tie a shoelace, and it's a long time.
How did you find it from a mental point of view? You'd had Henry's before, Cryo now. Did you get bitter? Was there a temptation to get?
I got bitter at myself. I got bitter at myself, and and I guess that was one of the things that when I went into Making Belief after that, I felt like, fuck this. I'm going to do this time.
Yep.
You know, I've got something to say. I know the ropes. I've seen it. I can do this, you know, and unfortunately that's not the right attitude to have, you know. It's totally the wrong attitude. You need to have the attitude of fuck it. Like, let's write some hell songs.
Yeah.
Let's write the songs. Who gives a shit about where you play next week? There's always a gig.
Yeah.
The gig will always come. You know?
Was that a chip you had on your shoulder for a bit?
Yeah, totally.
You know, thinking that you should have been here with everything. If hadn't happened,
you
I could have been
know, I
there.
still think about it. I still think about those things with Henry's, with Mischling, with Cryo today. You know, it's, you know, and it's one of those things that I guess I consider it a part of me as a drive to go, you know what, I'll do what I do, and I will see these awesome gigs again. I will do it, but when I do it this time, there'll be no sort of regrets of anything. It'll be like, nah, everything's in place because the music was right first.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As long as the music, it's the bottom line. Why play music if it's all about playing a gig?
Yeah.
Play the music because you enjoy the music, then go play the gig because the music was good.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you find that balance of, I guess we talked about this with Troy in the last issue, with, I guess, mental health being sort of intrinsically tied with people who do these creative endeavours. You've sort of been on that cusp of getting to that next level, or at least getting that footing onto the next level. How does that...
Yeah.
How do you keep your head above water in terms of when it does, you know, you obviously would have felt, I would say, the pinch of depression and things like that during those periods. And
look, I think it's definitely upsetting. It's definitely upsetting, and it breaks your heart. It's like, there's nothing worse than being in a band you love, playing, and the people you love playing with, and to have, for some reason, that band's not together anymore. It's like breaking up a relationship of your closest partner, you know, like, and to have it happen a few times, and you meet these people, and you get so close to these people, and they are your best mates. Not that, you know, you just seem to meet more and more and more best mates, and meet these beautiful people, and, you know, at the end of the day, I've played some great gigs. I've played with some unreal people, unreal musicians, and I've got to experience these fun times. So if it burns out and it comes to an ending, then I really think I need to realise in myself that these people are still there.
Yep.
You know, that doesn't change. Yeah. You've still got these beautiful people. You know, you shouldn't...
And shared experiences.
Yeah,
with them.
You know, and you can always go back and relive that.
Yeah.
You know, rather than sit there and just ponder on, how life sucks because you didn't get to go to the US when you had broken ribs.
Yeah.
You know? You know, look, there's more to life, you know?
Yeah.